right. Have anybody dealt with? Well, today, I will be addressing everybody here, but also people that are watching. This was actually a personal lesson that I put together for somebody that's viewing. You know what I'm saying? So, just wanted to let y'all know that. Has anybody ever dealt with an atheist before? Atheist. Okay. How did it fare out? Anybody want to give a little background on how things went? No? Well, yeah, how did when you talked to them, what was the conversation like? What were their views?
They just didn't believe in no kind of supreme being whatsoever.
Okay.
You know, they were open to the science.
Right, no doubt. And that's quiet down.
I will ask y'all to quiet down, please.
That's what we're gonna be dealing with today. A lot of people are being converted into atheism, even though they say that it's not a religion. For you to be converted into anything, it's a religion. But we're going to go into it and show exactly how it's a religion and how it sort of mocks the scriptures. Like it outlines itself just like how we do when looking at these scriptures. You know what I'm saying? But some atheists bring very appealing arguments if you don't know the science of what they're talking about. You know what I'm saying? So I want to start off in Hebrews 10. In Hebrews 10 and 23. Because their views make you think that the logic that goes on in the scriptures is not logic at all. You know what I'm saying? And it makes people change from believing that there is a power to not one at all. So we're going to address a couple of those things today. Read that out.
The book of Hebrews, chapter 10 and verse 23. Let us hold fast the profession of our faith.
Let us do what?
Hold fast the profession of our faith.
So hold fast the profession of your faith. Do not waver when these atheists start to bring their so-called logic, you know what I'm saying, and try to match it up to the scriptures. Go ahead.
Without wavering.
Without what?
Without wavering.
Do not change. That faith of a mustard seed. Remember, that mustard seed does not change. So have that type of faith when dealing with these people. Because again, they bring up about good arguments for people who don't understand what they're talking about. Right? But again, I had to go into it and see it for myself, because they don't just allow you to use the Bible to disprove atheism. You actually have to use what they do against them. You know what I'm saying? So let's go to Proverbs 18 and 13.
Proverbs 18 and verse 13. He that answers a matter before he hears it, it is folly and shame unto him.
So with everything, you never just want to give an answer before you hear the actual argument opposing you. Because there's some people that I've seen that actually believed in the scriptures that just fired off an answer about the scriptures when that's the hole that they were trapping you in for you to answer it like that. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be able to speak these people's language. You know what I mean? So I encourage y'all to at least look into this in case you get approached by an atheist in the near future. Let's look up. Let's go into the definition of an atheist. Right? It's a person who disbelieves or lacks belief in the existence of a God or a power. So it's either they don't believe at all or they just don't really believe, which is contradictory within itself, because either you do or you don't. You get what I'm saying? The definition of atheism is the rejection of belief in the existence or deities. More inclusively, atheism is the absence of belief or any deity that exists. So they just basically don't believe in no God, whether it's the God of the Bible, Islam, anything, right? And to be completely honest, I'm going to show y'all this pretty much, I'm going to put it in a nutshell on how it's a religion before we even go into it. Atheism does have a God. And that God of atheism is the universe, whether they admit it or they don't. Evolution is the prodigal son, or who would be our Messiah. You get what I'm saying? Like, you got the universe, things popped off, and evolution is basically what shaped everything. So you know how you got the Most High, who is omnipresent, and his son, who shaped the world and everything in it, right? So there's a correlation right there. Then you have their prophets, Charles Darwin, Richard Dawkins, Bill Nye the Science Guy, Oprah, right? Just like you got the prophets in the scriptures. Oh yeah, Oprah. Definitely Oprah. She prays to the universe. You know, she gives everything up to the universe. She even did it on her show. You know what I'm saying? It was crazy. But you see how everything kind of matches up. You know what I'm saying? And the doctrine that they push is that there is no evidence of the Most High. And they use a quote about faith. They use a quote about faith saying that it's a cop-out. And I'm going to show y'all that in a second. Can I get to it? Let's continue though. Let's start off with Psalms 14:1.
Psalms chapter 14 and verse 1. The fool has said in his heart.
The what?
The fool has said in his heart, there is no power.
So the fool says in his heart that there is no power. It's a reason why these people say this. And it has nothing to do with science. We'll see that. Science is just the justification of why they say that there is no power. Go ahead.
They are corrupt.
They are what?
They are corrupt.
So even with people saying, oh, atheists can be good people. They don't have to rob people, steal, kill people. We're going to also deal with that. Get Psalms 53:1. And this particular picture up here, I don't know if y'all can really see it. It won't blow up for me. But on the top, it says evolution. And it starts off with, you have like a monkey and some bones, right? And it says death, then millions of years, and now a man exists, right? Creation, they would call us creationists because we believe that the Most High created the earth, right? For creation, you have the garden, man's actions, which is sin, which leads to death, right? So this is the big argument. What was the beginning? You know what I mean? They try to go into little different bits and pieces on why the Bible isn't real, this, that, and the other, but the origin of each argument, whether they're evolutionists or creationists, is what was the beginning. So we're going to see. And again, they use this quote. Okay, it says, faith is the great cop-out, the great excuse to evade the need to think and evaluate evidence. So they're saying basically, by us saying, well, I just believe that it's so, they're saying that it's a cop-out because we evade the need to think and evaluate evidence, meaning that we're being lazy, right? We don't want to go and do the research with the fossils and this and that, right? It says faith is belief in spite of. So we just saying it just because. Even perhaps because of the lack of evidence. So they saying whenever we say that we have faith is because it's a lack of evidence on our behalf, on our part. Because we can't produce the evidence, then we just saying, hey, I got faith that this is how it was. When to a degree, that's true. Let's get Hebrews chapter 11 and verse 1. We're going to revisit this scripture. But again, I just want to lay the foundation on what they believe, what they say about those who are creationists or believe in the Most High.
The book of Hebrews, chapter 11 and verse 1.
What is faith?
Now faith is the substance of things hoped for.
Of things hoped for, right? Read.
The evidence of things not seen.
So it's the evidence of things not seen. Now we are not afraid to say, hey, although I was not there when the earth was created, I have faith that it happened, right? The scriptures is what I put my hope in through the Most High and the Mashiach. These are his words, right? We have no problem admitting this. But we're going to see something about these atheists. Let's get 1 Thessalonians 5 and 21. Now again, I was asked to do this by an atheist to produce my evidence, right?
1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 21. Prove all things.
Do what?
Prove all things.
Read.
Hold fast that which is good.
Hold fast that which is good. We know that the word is good, right? We know that the Most High is good, right? Let's get 1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 15. Because when you deal with these people, they're going to try to get you to produce some type of evidence. And when really, all you have to do is be able to speak their language and you will catch them up right then and there. And we're going to go into how to do this. Read that up.
1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 15. But sanctify Yahuwah, the Most High, in your hearts, and be ready always.
And do what?
Be ready always.
Be ready always.
To give an answer to every man that asks you a reason of the hope that is in you with meekness and fear.
So always be ready to give an answer about what you believe in. Always be ready. Because every day, I'm pretty sure you ask something about these scriptures, what you're wearing. Always be ready to give answer. Always make sure you stay in your studies in order to give answer. You get what I'm saying? I remember there was a point in time where I wasn't able to answer certain questions because I didn't study that much, or I didn't study that particular subject. You know what I'm saying? So always be ready to give answer. Let's go into a little bit of their theory. They believe that the Earth's beginning came from this big cosmic bang, the Big Bang Theory, right? Let's look at that. The Big Bang Theory. Oh, wow, that's small. Okay, it says, first, on the top, this is the evolutionists. It's Big Bang. You got the universe, which is the sun, the moon, the stars. And you have creatures that eventually turned into humans. This is evolution, the theory of evolution. But then you have creationists, where it's the creation, what the Most High created the earth. Sin, which brought death into the world, the flood with Noah, the Tower of Babel, right? You got these things that are, spoke about in the Bible. So again, the big thing is the origin. Now let's go into the Big Bang. I did a little bit of research, so I want y'all to listen to this. It says the Big Bang was established by Einstein's theory of relativity from background radiation, right? And they said basically that it was this cosmic thing that was pulling apart and it created an explosion, right? Two things that were bouncing off of each other because they wouldn't connect, and eventually they just collided and blew up, which again is contradictory, because if they wouldn't come together at one point, they would never come together. A magnet doesn't come together unless you actually have to push it together, meaning even if the Big Bang Theory was correct, somebody had to do it, right? But again, that's another thing. This background radiation was recorded by a guy named Arnold Penzias. He got a Nobel Prize for it, and he coined the theory of causality, causality, meaning for everything that's possible, it has to have a cause, right? Nothing just happens on its own, even though he's pointing towards the fact that the earth came from nothing. Just this big bang of nothing, right? So it says the thing is that some say the universe is eternal, right? Which means the universe itself is forever, right? Which means that there would not be a need for the Most High if the universe was eternal, because it's just forever. But even through their philosophy, their science, their math, it proves that the universe had a beginning, right? The Big Bang. This was the beginning of the universe. They said before this was nothing. The Big Bang created the universe. The Big Bang created all of this other stuff. Which if you...
What was two things that was out?
It was... hold on, let me see. I'm going to get into that. I got it. I'm going to get into that. But again, it's madness. But once you know their language, you know how to figure these things out. Like, it don't make sense, right? It says the universe has its beginning at the Big Bang, right? And there is no other record that would show where the beginning is. Well, I say, let's go to Genesis. Let's go to Genesis. Chapter 1 and verse 1. And again, remember, this Big Bang was a big cosmic fire, right? Let's read that.
The book of Genesis, chapter 1 and verse 1. Mm-hmm. In the beginning.
In the what?
In the beginning.
Go ahead.
The Most High created the heavens and the earth.
He created the heavens and the earth, right? Go ahead.
And the earth was without form and void. And darkness was upon the face of the deep.
It was upon the face of the what?
Of the deep.
Go ahead.
And the Spirit of the Most High moved upon the face of the waters.
So, at what point can you get water out of fire? You can't. It's impossible. So they're claiming that this Big Bang, which they don't account for, is responsible for everything in existence today, including water. No fire can produce water. Period. And if it was so, it would mean that somebody had to do it. Right? Okay. It says, now my question for you is, do you believe that nothing created everything? Because that's pretty much what they're saying. Nothing created everything. Which, as a scientist, that's impossible. You know what I'm saying? According to their scientific method, that is impossible for nothing to create something.
That's a stated fact. And when you study biology, chemistry, exactly, they state that no living thing can come from a non-living thing.
Exactly. And again, that's the contradictory within their religion, because that's exactly what it is. But again, everything that exists needs a cause. And seeing though the universe and the earth needs a cause, this cause has to be timeless, spaceless, and material, seeing as though that it produced time, space, and mass, right? So, there's only two possible answers for this. One was that it'll be the Most High, because he's timeless, spaceless, and material, right? The other answer would be the Most High. There is no other way, to be perfectly honest. Because if there is nothing there, that means there's no time. There is no space. There is no matter. You know what I'm saying? There is no matter, right? But we're going to touch that later. But even with these statements, they still say that there is no evidence of the Most High, right? They say there's no evidence that he exists, but they breathe the air that we breathe, right? But they look at these different living organisms, but again, there is no evidence that he exists. Let's get Romans chapter 1 and verse 18, because the scriptures talk about these people.
Book of Romans, chapter 1 and verse 18. For the wrath of the Most High is revealed from Shamayim against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who hold the truth in unrighteousness.
Who do what?
Who hold the truth in unrighteousness.
These old philosophers know that there is a power. They know that the Most High is the creator of the universe, of the earth. But their twisted plot to get people to go against the Father has perverted the understanding of those that follow them. Right? Read.
Because that which may be known of the Most High is manifest in them.
The Most High is manifested in them. They are a carcass walking around with a soul in it. Right? Read.
Because that which may be known of the Most High is manifest in them. For the Most High has shown it unto them.
Through all of their research, the Most High has showed them, hey, there is no other answer but me. But they have to fight against it for a particular reason, and we're going to get to it. Go ahead.
For the invisible things of him.
For the what?
The invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen.
They are clearly seen. We're looking at each other. We look at water. We see the clouds, right? So we don't have to see him to know that he created it. The invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen. Read.
Being understood by the things that are made.
And they are understood by the things that are made. Us, for example, right? When you look at the complexity of the human body, you start to see how other things work, right? You start to see why the grass grows like it grows. Certain times of the year, certain things happen. You see these things within the organisms that were produced by the Most High, right? Go ahead.
Even his eternal power.
Even his what?
Eternal power.
Because they said that the universe is not eternal, but we know that he is. Read.
And Godhead. So that they are without excuse.
So when judgment rains down, they will not have an excuse. Right? Neither will we if we're fooled by what they tell us. Go ahead.
Because that when they knew the Most High.
Because they weren't born atheists. They also have the argument that they weren't born theists. But again, it says that because when they knew the Most High, because they had to become an atheist. This didn't just happen. This was a known fact in the world that the Most High existed. Read.
They glorified him not as the Most High.
They glorified him as the universe and not the Most High. Read.
Neither were thankful, but became vain in their imagination.
So basically they started pulling stuff out of the sky. They started making things up. Right? Read.
And their foolish heart was darkened.
Their foolish heart was darkened. And now some of those people can't come back from that. Right? Have y'all heard of Darwinism? Darwin's theory of evolution? Matter of fact, they teach these things in the school system to the kids. And subconsciously making them not believe in the Most High. They're setting them up for when it's time for them to think on their own without guidance of a parent or a teacher, that they can say, wait, I remember in school I was taught such and such, such and such, such and such. And my mother let me go. My dad let me. It got to be right. They whoop me if I got bad grades, right? Where my nephew at? Demetrius. Where you at? Stand up. What did your social studies teacher tell you about evolution with the apes and the, what did they say? Speak loud and clear. That they start off from monkeys to humans. How old are you? He's 11 years old. They're indoctrinating our children at this early of an age to make the program them to think that we started off as monkeys and now we're humans, but humans don't turn into monkeys anymore, and monkeys don't just stand up and be humans anymore. The logic is backwards. They're pushing a doctrine for their religion. And we don't even understand that this is going on. And every generation that come up, they teach them younger and younger. I didn't learn this stuff until I was in high school. He's 11. You know what I'm saying? But we're gonna continue. Let's take a look at Darwin's theory real quick. I want you to read this. Top one about to come out.
Darwin's theory of evolution. Darwin's theory of evolution is the widely held notion that all life is related and has descended from a common ancestor.
So they believe that when this Big Bang happened, there was one small organism in the earth. And from that one small organism, we have plants, humans, animals, everything, which is ridiculous. But again, go ahead, Al.
The birds and the bananas.
And the what?
The birds and the bananas. Mm-hmm. The fishes and the flowers.
So they believe that birds are related to bananas. And fishes related to flowers. Let's get Genesis. Keep reading that real quick.
All related. Darwin's general theory presumes the development of life from non-life.
So again, ain't that against the scientific method? Okay. So let's get Genesis chapter 1 and verse 11. Because their belief is all different kinds of things came from one kind of thing. Well, we know that the Most High separated what? Kinds. Right?
Genesis chapter 1 and verse 11. And the Most High said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind.
After what?
After his kind.
Go ahead.
Whose seed is in itself upon the earth.
Whose seed is what?
In itself upon the earth.
Whose seed is in itself, right? Go ahead.
And it was so.
Keep going.
And the earth brought forth grass and herb yielding seed after his kind. And the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind.
So even within these fruits and vegetables, they have their own separate kinds, right? But what they're saying right now is that, I don't even want to say it. Birds eventually evolved from bananas, or bananas eventually evolved from birds, which is completely ridiculous. But continue on in there, Al.
Darwin's general theory presumes the development of life from non-life and stresses a purely naturalistic descent with modification.
So they're saying that natural selection, meaning everything just took its course. Humans turned into humans on their own. From these reptiles, from all these different things, everything happens on its own. Like, let's take our people being in captivity for an example. They're saying that this is natural selection. We are meant to be on the bottom, pretty much, right? Even one of their scholars wrote when natural selection was a theory that was coined, that on the top of all species is the white race. Because they're stronger, they're faster, they're all of these things, when it is a known fact that that is false. And these scientists try to back that up. Well, at the time, all they knew was white people. So, you know, no, they had us enslaved when they was writing these things. You know what I'm saying? But again, keep going.
That is, complex creatures evolved from more simplistic ancestors.
What?
Complex creatures evolve from more simplistic ancestors.
So complex things evolve from simple things. Now I want to give y'all a small example, right? First, let's get Sirach 13 and 15, dealing with the kinds, right? And I'm going to give y'all a small example of how nothing complex comes from nothing simple. You cannot create complexity from simplicity. Simplicity begets simplicity. That's just it. Read that real quick, huh?
Book of Sirach, chapter 13 and verse 15.
This is dealing with the kinds. Go ahead.
Every beast loves his like.
That's his what?
His like.
So do a bird laid with a banana?
Absolutely not.
Read.
And every man loves his neighbor.
Every man loves his neighbor, right? Go ahead.
All flesh consorts according to kind.
Consort according to what?
According to kind.
So if we all originated from the same kind, we will all eventually go back to that kind, right? So if we were once monkeys, we would see that we would turn into monkeys again, right? Which is completely madness. You know what I'm saying? Like this we know that history repeats itself, right? So they claim that millions of years this took to happen, and out of those millions of years, we wouldn't have went back. It don't make sense. That's it on that. Keep going.
A man will cleave to his like. What fellowship has the wolf with the lamb?
So what fellowship has the wolf with the lamb? Even though they're two animals, the wolf ain't got no business being with the lamb. You get what I'm saying? But again, let's read on into this theory of evolution a little bit more, because we're going to get down to something juicy.
In a nutshell, as random genetic mutations occur within an organism's genetic code, the beneficial mutations are preserved because they aid survival, a process known as natural selection.
So that's that natural selection. But I want you to read that Darwin's theory of evolution, natural selection. Let's see where this stuff came from.
While Darwin's theory of evolution is a relatively young archetype, the evolutionary worldview itself is as old as antiquity. Ancient Greek philosophers.
Ancient who?
Ancient Greek philosophers.
We got to throw this out the water. We know that those same people are the people responsible for Christianity.
And that in itself, when they say the evolutionary worldview itself is old as antiquity. Let me read, because who did the name right there? It say the Greeks, right?
Yep.
They get the name of the Greeks. Now the Greeks, they known for this type of thing. It says, and they were the Greeks who became the authors of such mutations.
Of such what?
Mutations. For when after ages they grew potent, they claimed to themselves the glory of antiquity. Now my point being, they want to trace this back and say this comes from ancient antiquity, but then leads you to a Greek philosopher. Their train of thought is relatively new. But when the Greeks come on the scene, they try to put themselves like we go all the way back. And that's not the case. But let me read on. Ancient Greek philosophers such as Anaximander postulated the development of life from non-life and the evolutionary descent of man from animal.
Okay, now remember they said that simplicity created something complex, right? So let me ask y'all. Letters are pretty much simple, right? Individual letters, the letter A, the letter B, the letter C, right? Can the letter A form a word? It can? Okay. Can the letter B form a word? Say that again. Because they are simple. It takes something more complex to compile the letters together to make a word. So nothing simple can be made complex within itself. You feel what I'm saying? So their whole ideology of simplicity begetting complexity is off. But again, it's the language that they use that you got to hold on to. Because this is very simple, what we're talking about, but it sounds complex because of how they put it. Right? Let's drop this for a minute. Again, those Greeks, those Romans, they created that Christianity. And then through atheism out there as if they created it for them. But let me give you a history point for this subject. They called Israelites atheists because they didn't believe in their gods. So it wasn't the non-belief in a power at all. It was the disbelief in their gods. You get what I'm saying? So that's why the definition of it is the disbelief of a god or lack of belief of a god. You feel what I'm saying? They changed it up. You know what I'm saying? But let's move on. A noted scientist, Bill Nye the Science Guy. He was on our TV all the time. He is one of the so-called greatest scientists to ever live, right? In present day. So he had a debate with a guy named Ken Ham over this very subject. And this is what he said about the Big Bang. It says it came from a dude named Edwin Hubble. And Edwin Hubble said that the Big Bang was generated from stars moving apart. But stars are inside of what we know as the universe, right? But how could the Big Bang start with that if there was no universe in the first place? A dude named Fred Hoyle said the Big Bang was an explosion because everything was once together. And they said they figured this out because they listened to space and they heard a hissing sound.
They heard a hissing sound.
They also say that there is no sound in space. So again, it's a contradictory within their own joint. But if they produce it to you and you don't know their language, it'll make you think. And that's all they need you to do is think on their level and they can get you with everything else. Right? He goes on to say, they heard radio signals hissing. And it was a cosmic background sound. And that hiss is still a result of the Big Bang, which was 13.7 billion years ago. Right? So, where did they get that number from? Let's go back to Hebrews chapter 11 and verse 1. This is where they get that number from. Hebrews 11 and 1.
Book of Hebrews, chapter 11 and verse 1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen.
In order for scientists to believe that the earth is 13.7 billion years old, they have to have faith to do it. So when they say that faith is the big cop-out, they're contradicting themselves again, because you have to have faith to do it. Now, the scientific method, with anything that deals with science, you have to be able to repeat what happened, right? Now, if they say that this is observational science, it has to be something that they observe. No scientist has ever observed the Big Bang, right? So it takes faith for them to believe in such a thing, right? But they'll tell you, oh, it's just because your lack of evidence. They have no evidence of this thing. But they say that carbon dating is how they can tell how old the world is, right? On here, it shows that there are at least 100, well, it says hundreds, but on here, I think it's like, it may be like 55. Hundreds of physical processes to set limits on the age of the universe, right? Meaning they haven't got down to one process. Meaning all of the processes have to be flawed if they have to keep creating different processes, right? And it says more than 90% of these processes give an age less than 1 billion years. But they claim that the universe is billions of years old. Another contradiction, right? You can use one carbon dating method, right? Dealing with radioactivity. And the first time you do it on a fossil, you may get 40 million years ago. The second time you do it, you may get 40,000 years ago. The thing is, they have no set way to understand it. And with radioactivity, these things change over time. So you're going to get a different number. They're just professing this stuff just for the urge of saying, I'm the one who did this. I'm the one who figured out how old this fossil was. I'm the one who figured this out. When it's complete madness. Let's get John chapter 6 and verse 38. Matter of fact, get Colossians 1 and 16 first. We know that the Most High is the creator of the universe. We know that the Big Bang has nothing to do with anything. But again, what I say to atheists is, if the Big Bang was it, it had to be created by something. All right?
Colossians chapter 1 and verse 16. For by him were all things created that are in Shamayim and that are in the earth.
So by who? By this is speaking about the Mashiach, where all things created, right? Go ahead.
Visible and invisible.
What?
Visible and invisible.
Visible and invisible. So again, we will admit that we have faith that these things are here and we haven't seen them, but they won't. Let me show you something. I'm going to show you a video of a person using their logic against them. These are scholars, right? This video is called Intelligent Atheists Left Speechless on a Question on Evolution. We're going to start at 2:39.
Of course I do, yes. Live science says of Darwinian evolution. It can turn...
Let me turn it up for y'all. You got the volume over there? I want y'all to listen to how ridiculous these people sound.
Too small a time scale to see evolution going on.
Now, one of the scientists says we are condemned to live only a few decades, and that's too slow. Too small a time scale to see evolution going on. So they believe in evolution, but none of them has ever seen it physically because they're not able to live millions of years like they claim that these things happen, right?
Richard Dawkins.
One of their profound scientists is the one who said this, which is Richard Dawkins.
We see nothing of these slow changes in progress until the hand of time has marked the lapse of ages. Charles Darwin.
That's contradictory. If you don't see it, that means it's not there to you. But he said we're not able to see these things because we don't live a long enough time. That means you will never see evolution, which means it's just out there. It's just a theory, right?
You've got the canine kind, the coyote, and the domestic dog, and there's the feline kind, which is the cats, the tiger and the kitten, and you've got humankind. So Darwin said there'd be a change of kinds over many years. So could you give me one example of observable evidence of a change of kinds?
For instance, the fossil record.
Now he said observable evidence, meaning somebody actually seen it with their eyes.
Shows the common ancestors of all carnivores, that cats and dogs were once linked, united by a common ancestor.
How long ago?
This, I believe, was like 60 million years ago.
I don't want something I have to accept by faith. I want it to be observable.
Observable evidence. Well, I mean, if you're just asking here on the street, there's not really much I can tell you in terms of observable evidence. Like, we would have to really examine existing data to draw conclusions of our own.
I would have to have faith then.
We would have to have some amount of faith.
Can you think of any observable evidence for Darwinian evolution where he said there'd be a change of kind?
Monkey to man, is that what you're talking?
Yeah, a change of kinds.
I don't really believe there's any proof for that yet.
Well, monkeys are the only ones with the 5th digit, like we have.
Koalas have a 5th digit. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Think we're evolved from koalas?
No.
And I went to, like, Washington, D.C. I saw they had a whole exhibit just on the
Smithsonian?
Yeah, and the
Oh,
Smithsonian.
wait, so that is just like some stuffed dummies, like standing around a fire.
I know that everyone talks about the missing link for humans and whatnot. I believe that there are connections that are out there that we haven't found yet.
I'm gonna trust what those experts did.
He says, I'm going to trust what the experts said. We believe in these scriptures, right? But they say that this is false. We trust in the Most High, the Mashiach, and the prophets, right? And we can prove through history that these things are true. But they can't. Watch their responses from now on.
Those experts came up with.
I have a strong trust in evolutionary ideas based on the evidence presented.
Can you think of any observable evidence for Darwinian evolution, a change of kinds?
I haven't seen it myself, but I believe what the textbooks tell me about
Faith.
it. So
You've got faith in the experts?
I have faith in the experts, yeah. I guess similar to how religious people have faith that God actually exists. I have
So he
faith
admitted
in the
it.
experts knowing what they're talking about.
The scientific method must be observable and repeatable. So could you give me one piece of observable evidence for Darwinian evolution?
Okay, I would point to, as one great example is look at the genetics of the stickleback.
What's that?
So stickleback fish are a very interesting collection of species that were recently isolated after the end of the Ice Age.
What do they become?
They're various species of sticklebacks.
They stayed as fish.
Well, of course.
Can you think of any observable?
Which means they are the same kind. But this dude right here pulled a Quab and show. He lawyered these people to death. Now these are scholars, atheists, scholars at colleges. He's going to, like you see in the background, it says Hall of Science. He was going to these people, the top dogs, along with their students, right?
Evidence that there was a change of kinds.
Fish. Human beings are still fish.
Human beings are fish?
Why, yes, of course they are.
How long did that take?
A couple of billions of years, millions.
A couple of millions? How is that observable?
It's not.
We came out
This
of the
guy's
ground as
funny.
a mammal, and one mammal created...
Come out of the ground? Didn't we come out of the sea?
Huh? Well, initially in the beginning, we came out of the ground and the sea. After the great destruction of the...
So did we have lungs or gills when we came out of the sea?
You want to know something? Those that were in the sea, I guess, had gills, and those that were on land had lungs.
So if we came out of the sea, we had gills in the sea.
You want to know something? Who knows that when we came out of the sea or we evolved from mammals?
So you don't know?
Huh? Of course I don't know.
I'm accepting that they did their science correct.
Could you give me an example of Darwinian evolution, not adaptation or speciation, but a change of kinds?
These are changes of kinds.
Still fish.
They're distinctly different fish.
We have thousands of examples.
Can you give me one?
I can give you thousands.
Just one.
For instance, I would say look at Lenski's experiments of bacteria then.
So what do the bacteria become?
The bacteria are still bacteria, of course.
That's not Darwinian evolution. That's not a change of kinds, is it?
It is a change. It is a change in the genetic makeup of the bacteria, which
That's
is
still bacteria. So what do the bacteria become?
a new kind of bacteria.
So it's still bacteria. There's no change of kinds. To summarize, the observable evidence that you give me for Darwinian evolution is bacteria becoming bacteria.
No, it is bacteria acquiring new metabolic capabilities.
You said before that There is lots of evidence for evolution. I just want one observable evidence for Darwinian evolution. Just one.
But I gave you some. You don't want.
Not some. I want one.
You don't want that.
I want one. Yes, I do. I'm pleading with you.
You asked me to tell you. You asked me to tell you when I've watched one species evolve into another. Isn't that right?
No, one kind into another. There's 14 different definitions of species. So I want a change of a kind.
Well, when you're talking about kinds or change in families, you're actually talking about macroevolution. You're talking about changes on the level that separates cats from dogs.
Did you give me any examples of Darwinian evolution?
Well, when you say examples of that, then you have to sort of look over a longer time frame.
It has nothing to do with faith. Faith is something that I have.
He says it has nothing to do with faith. Now watch what he says.
Unseen, I have to believe it.
That's it.
Unseen, and he has to believe it. But what he says has nothing to do with faith. Watch this.
Seen. Look, do you believe evolution?
Of course I do.
Are you a believer in evolution?
Yes, I am.
When did you start to believe evolution?
I started to believe evolution when I started to think out for myself.
Is evolution a belief?
Well, you know something. Evolution is a thought process. This is coming to terms and checking out all the alternatives, like taking a look at the religion, man-made religions.
Let me ask you again: is evolution a belief?
No, evolution is, well, yeah, in a word, yeah, I could say it could be a belief.
When you say change of kind, you mean the evolution of one species from another or to another? Yes, we have that in action, actually, in the Galapagos.
Could you give me one instance?
Yes, we have an example from a group of birds called Darwin's finches.
Can you take a look at the difference between the finches on the islands that all started out? I mean, that's very, very observable.
Now, with Darwinism, these finches is what he got famous for because their beaks started to change over time. But it still wasn't a change of kind. It was the same kind. It was the same bird.
That's not Darwinian evolution. There's been no change of kinds after the finches become.
They become genetically new and anatomically new, recognizably different species.
They're still finches?
See the language?
Well, of course they're still finches, yes.
There's no change of kind.
Little birds that he had observed.
What did they become?
Their beak shapes.
They're still birds.
Yes, 3 finches that turn into different types of birds.
They're still finches.
Well, for example, Darwin and his study on evolution of the birds on the island that he went on to there.
Their beaks changed?
Their beaks.
They're still birds. There's no change of kinds. That's within the kind.
Evolution on the beaks.
So that's called adaptation.
Evolution
it's
on
not
the beaks.
Darwinian evolution. There's no change of kinds. There's no different animal involved. I want something that shows me Darwin's belief in a change of kinds is scientific. Darwin spoke of a change of kind. Can you think of any observable evidence for Darwinian evolution with this change of kind?
Change of kind. I'm gonna have to think about that one a little longer.
You give me anything that I can see, observe, and test, which is a scientific method for Darwinian evolution, a change of kinds. Test and observe. Could you give me observable evidence, which is the scientific method for Darwinian evolution, a change of kinds?
I gotta think about it. So you want the evidence of it?
Hey, they having the same feeling we felt when we found out that the Mashiach wasn't white and that we was the people. We was just stuck. They getting woke up to what they spending all this money to go to school and finding out, dang, I can't even answer these simple questions. But the complexity of what they're studying gets their mind wrapped up in these different, you know what I'm saying? It gets them wrapped up in it. He look hurt, though.
I cannot, I think.
I cannot.
Hard question, actually. So, can you repeat the question again? Could you give me an example, or just one, for Darwinian evolution?
For a second.
Observable evidence, something where we don't have to exercise faith. Something that can be observed, like the scientific process, observable.
That's a good question. That one I'm not quite sure.
So you can't think of any observable evidence for evolution?
No.
How do you know it's true? Sure. So Darwinian evolution is not observable, it's not scientific.
I guess so.
Boom!
So it's unscientific, you can't prove.
He just made the brother say that this stuff is not scientific when they base everything off of science.
It's scientific, actually. You could prove it. It could be proven. Just
do it for me.
That's hard. That's just too broad.
Unobservable. That's why you need millions of years.
Yes, exactly.
You're trusting the biology majors and the biology professors know what they're talking about, and they can't even give me evidence of a change of kinds.
Well, then there isn't one. If they don't give it, then I wouldn't say there was.
I just go on what I've seen and what I've learned from class.
You believe?
Yeah.
You know what that's called?
What?
Blind faith.
Blind faith.
Faith is the great excuse to evade the need to think
Smashed
and
him out.
evaluate evidence.
He smashed them out, right? And he made them talk themselves in circles until they didn't believe no more. And they had to admit that this was faith, right? Let's let's get 2nd Ezra chapter 4. I'm gonna show you an example of what just happened, because these people claim to be able to know all of the things that happened before time was existed, before all of these things, right? But can't answer simple questions like the brother gave them. So let's see what one of our brothers did the same thing. Not necessarily atheism, but the same thing. Go ahead, Doc. 2nd Ezra chapter 4 and verse 2. Start at verse 2.
2nd Ezra chapter 4 and verse 2.
Listen up, y'all.
And the Malakim was sent to me, whose name was Uriel, gave me an answer and said, your heart has gone too far in this world.
Your heart has gone too far in this world. The same thing with these scientists, these evolutionists. Your heart done went too far, read.
And thinking you to comprehend the way of the Most High.
You think you can comprehend the way of the Most High, the so-called universe, read.
Then said I, yeah, my master.
And they said the same thing, yeah. I can prove it. I can show these things, right? Confident at first, read.
And he answered me and said, I am sent to show you 3 ways, and to set forth 3 similitudes before you, whereof if you can declare me one, I will show you also the way that you desire to see.
It's kind of the same thing that the brother was saying. He's like, I just want one. I'm gonna give you a couple, but just give me one. That's all I need, right? Read.
And I will show you from where the wicked heart comes. And I said, tell on, my master.
So he like, bring it on. What you got for me? I know it. Right? Read.
Then said he to me, go your way. Weigh me the weight of fire.
By the way, they still don't know the weight of fire. Why? Because it's not measurable. But they claim to know what happened on the outside of the earth. Right? Go ahead.
Or measure me the blast of the wind. Or call me again the day that is past.
So again, he's saying, bring me back to a day that's past. Measure the blast of a wind and fire. No scientist can do that today. Right? So read on.
Then answered I and said, what man is able to do that?
How I'm supposed to do that? The same answers they was given. This was over millions of years, you know what I'm saying? It's stuck up. Like, you claim to know the things beyond this earth, but you can't even answer to me the things that you see. Go ahead.
That you should ask such things of me. And he said to me, that if I should ask you how great dwellings are in the midst of the sea, Or how many springs are in the beginning of the deep? Or how many springs are above the firmament? Or which are the outgoings of paradise? Perhaps you would say to me, I never went down into the deep, nor as yet into hell. Neither did I ever climb up into Shamayim.
So basically, he can't answer the question. Jump down to verse 10.
Verse 10. He said, moreover to me, your own things, and such as are grown up with you, can you not know? How should your vessel then be able to comprehend the way of the highest?
So if you can't do the simple things here that are simple to the Most High but complex to you, how are you going to figure out or claim to know what happened before the earth was formed or what was there? You can't. Go ahead.
And the world being now outwardly corrupted, to understand the corruption that is evident in my sight.
So these people get, once you know their language, they pretty much get smashed out with these things, right? Let's get Luke 12 and 7. Let's see something else they can't count or they can't number. Just a couple examples.
The book of Luke, chapter 12 and verse 7. But even the very hairs of your head are all numbered.
How many of us have counted every hair on our head? How many of us even, well, Maccabees? No. Let's talk. Let's talk. How many of us? How many of us, by a show of hands, can count the hairs on our head or even begin to know where to start? It's impossible. It's impossible. Right? My bad. Go get Wisdom of Solomon chapter 9 and verse 16.
Wisdom of Shalomo chapter 9 and verse 16. And hardly do we guess aright at things that are upon the earth, and with labor do we find things that are before us.
He said, hardly do we guess right the things that are on the earth. What's the new saying? Can you guess the things upon the earth? What's the girl be saying? Barely. You can't. It says, hardly do we guess these things right.
What is that, man? Is it a song?
Go ahead. Read that over.
Talk about over here.
Yeah. It's like she said, can you see? Barely.
No, she said, huh? Barely.
But again, these people are the same way. All right? Read that again, Alex.
And hardly do we guess aright at things that are upon the earth, and with labor do we find the things that are before us.
Okay.
But the things that are in Shamayim.
But the what?
The things that are in Shamayim.
Go ahead.
Who has searched out?
Who has searched these things out? How are you going to even begin to search the things out that are in the Shamayim? Right? I want to play y'all this clip. Remember I was talking about Bill Nye, the science guy, went against a guy named Ken Ham. I want to show you a couple Q&A questions. I mean, a couple sessions of the Q&A that they went over to see Bill Nye's answers to certain questions dealing with evolution and creationism. So we're going to pick this up at 409. He got bodied. No debate. Killed him.
In nature, and that's time. Mr. Nye, the next question is for you. How did the atoms that created the Big Bang get there?
This is a great mystery.
Boom. So again, he said, how did the atoms that created the Big Bang, how did they get there? And he said, this is the big mystery. Basically, he don't know, right?
You've hit the nail on the head. No, this is so. What was before the Big Bang? This is what drives us. This is what we want to know. Let's keep looking. Let's keep searching. When I was young,
there's a reason why they won't admit that it's the Most High, and we're gonna get to it.
It was presumed the universe was slowing down. It's a Big Bang, except it's in outer space. There's no air, so it goes out like that. And so people presumed that it would slow down, that the universe, the gravity especially, would hold everything together, and maybe it's going to come back and explode again. And people went out, and the mathematical expression is the universe flat? This is a mathematical expression. Will the universe slow down asymptotically without ever stopping? Well, in 2004, Saul Perlmutter and his colleagues went.
The brother who
keep
did
looking.
this,
let's keep searching.
He actually replayed what he said to see, so you can see how foolish he sounded, right? He's throwing in these antics, all this to distract you from what he's actually saying, which is absolutely nothing.
He's not even really answering the question.
When I was young, it was presumed that the universe was slowing down. It's a Big Bang, except it's in outer space. There's no air, so it goes out like that. And so people presumed that it would slow down, that the universe, the gravity especially, would hold everything together, and maybe it's going to come back and explode again. And people went out, and the mathematical expression is the universe flat? This is a mathematical expression. Will the universe slow down asymptotically without ever stopping? Well, in 2004, Saul Perlmutter and his colleagues went looking for the rate at which the universe was slowing down. Let's go out and measure it. And we do it with this extraordinary system of telescopes around the world, looking at the night sky, looking for supernovae. These are standard brightness that you can infer distances with. And the universe isn't slowing down. It's accelerating. The universe is accelerating in its expansion.
Now, through all those words he used, what did he say? No. Absolutely nothing. So knowing the language is key. But because they'll talk you in a circle, and then at the end they'll just drop the point on you, just like what he just did. And at the end, we figured out it was expanding, not coming together. All right?
Why? Nobody knows why.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows why. And you'll hear the expression nowadays: dark energy, dark matter, which are mathematical ideas.
Dark energy, dark matter. Get Isaiah 45 and 7.
Right.
It's so easy once you break down, like, what are you not saying? You didn't say nothing. You just used the word anagnostic. And Isaiah 45 and 7.
Exactly.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 45 and verse 7. I form the light and create darkness.
He said it's some type of dark energy. It's some type of dark matter. The Most High said he created light and what?
And create darkness.
Go ahead.
I make shalom and create evil. Yahuwah does all these things.
So it's the Most High that do all of these things, right? But again, they say they don't have an explanation for it because they're still searching for it. They won't find it because they're saying that it's not the Most High. Because what they have to do is keep saying that this has an ancestor, this has an ancestor. So you're gonna say, like the question was posed, what brought those atoms there? So if they figure that out, like, okay, what brought that? Which brought the atoms there? And according to what is it? The theory of, hold on. According to Aristotle, one of their philosophers, there is a theory called the unmovable mover, meaning everything has to have an origin. You can't just keep tracing back and 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 back. Because even with the Most High, you can't trace him. He is omnipresent, right? You can't trace him back. But with each individual things, this Big Bang happened, and then it was these atoms that caused the Big Bang, and what caused these atoms, and what caused that, and it's going to keep on going forever, right?
that seem to reckon well with what seems to be the gravitational attraction of clusters of stars, galaxies, and their expansion. And then, isn't it reasonable that whatever is out there causing the universe to expand is here also? And we just
said, isn't it reasonable? Isn't it reasonable to say that whatever is out there causing these things to happen here, that is here, right? Let's get Psalms 139 and 7. He's basically telling you that there's a God without saying it. Excuse me for that term, God, y'all. I'm just into this so much. The Most High. All right, go ahead.
The book of Psalms, chapter 139 and verse 7. Whither shall I go from your spirit?
So where shall you go from the Most High Spirit, right? Where can you go? Anybody? From the Most High Spirit. Can't escape, right? Go ahead.
Or whither shall I flee from your presence?
Because he's omnipresent. You can't flee from his presence because he is the presence. Read.
If I ascend up into Shamaim, you are there.
So if I go into the Shamaim, you there. Read.
If I make my bed in Sheol, behold, you are there.
If I go under the earth, you there. Right? Read.
If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost part of the sea, even there shall your hand lead me.
Even in the waters, you there. Read.
And your right hand shall hold me. If I say, surely the darkness shall cover me, even the night shall be light about me.
Because he created the light and the dark. He's there. Read.
Yeah, the darkness hides not from you, but the night shines as the day. The darkness and the light are both alike to you.
So you can't run from the Most High. So this presence that created everything is here. And it's the Most High. Period.
Detected. My friend, suppose a science student from the Commonwealth of Kentucky pursues a career in science and finds out the answer to that deep question. Where did we come from? What was before the Big Bang? To us, this is wonderful and charming and compelling. This is what makes us get up and go to work every day.
Basically, he's saying if somebody came and made up an answer to it, they would be happy. Pretty much. They'd be sufficient.
Is to try to solve the mysteries of the universe.
That's time. Mr. Ham, a response?
Watch this.
Bill, I just want to let you know that there actually is a book out there that actually tells us where matter came from. And the very first sentence in that book says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And really, that's the only thing that makes sense. It's the only thing that makes sense of why not just matter is here, where it came from, but why. Matter, when you look at it, we have information and language systems that build life, not just matter. And where did that come from? Because matter can never produce information. Matter can never produce a language system. Languages only come from intelligence. Information only comes from information. The Bible tells us that the things we see, like in the book of Hebrews, are made from things that are unseen. An infinite creator God who created the universe, created matter, the energy, space, mass, time, universe, and created the information for life. It's the only thing that makes logical sense.
So, I don't like that this Gentile is a Christian, but he spazzed on this guy. The whole debate. Let's go to another one. We're going to pick it up at the 11-minute mark.
Go back and watch this.
What more complex?
That's time. New question for you, Mr. Nye. How did consciousness come from matter?
Don't know.
Beautiful question. How did matter create consciousness? How did it produce it? Right?
How did it produce the way your hair grows?
This is a great mystery.
This is a what?
A dear friend of mine.
This is a great mystery. He don't know.
She studies the nature of consciousness.
When a pastor don't know the scriptures that he's speaking about, what do he start telling you? Tell you a story. Same thing with this guy.
Now, I will say, I used to embrace a joke about dogs. I mean, who doesn't? And you can say, this guy remarked, I've never seen a dog paralyzed by self-doubt. Actually, I have. Furthermore, the thing that we celebrate, there are 3 sundials on the planet Mars that bear an inscription to the future. To those who visit here, we wish a safe journey and the joy of discovery. It's inherently optimistic about the future of humankind that we will one day walk on Mars. But the joy of discovery, that's what drives us. The joy of finding out what's going on. So we don't know where consciousness comes from, but we want to find out. Furthermore, I'll tell you it's deep within us.
What did he say? Absolutely nothing.
Claim that I have spent time with dogs that have had the joy of discovery. It's way inside us. We have one ancestor, as near as we can figure. And by the way, if you can find what we in science call a second Genesis.
We don't need a second Genesis because we already have one. Let's go there. Genesis 1 and 26. Let's get Genesis 1 and 26. And we're going to deal with this consciousness from matter and see how it's ridiculous. But I encourage y'all to go watch that. Bill Nye the Science Guy versus Ken Ham, the evolutionist. He absolutely destroyed this guy.
The book of Genesis, chapter 1 and verse 26. And the Most High said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the fowl of the air.
So a complex being created something less complex than itself, but still put himself in it. You understand what I'm saying? Read that again. No, matter of fact, jump to chapter 2 and verse 7.
Genesis 2 and verse 7. And Yahuwah the Most High formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul.
That soul, that consciousness came from the Most High. Let's get one more precept for this. Let's get Wisdom of Solomon 2 and 23. We can actually get 2 more. Yeah. Yes.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2 and verse 23. For the Most High created man to be immortal, and made him to be an image of his own eternity.
So now, we know that the Most High gave man soul, consciousness, all of these things, right? So now we're going to compare what they call the laws of logic, because they had to get the laws of logic from somewhere. But we're going to compare them to the Bible, right? For them, it says man's ideas, naturalism, like by natural selection, right? So all of these ideas, they're claiming just popped into people's heads, right? When we know that that's not true. And it's compared to the word of the Most High, where you get a blueprint for what you need to do, right? We deal with morals. It says moral relativism, which means that morality is subjective, meaning you can kill somebody if you think it's okay. You can rape somebody if you think it's okay. The morality is subjective. There's no set standard for morality, but we know throughout the whole world there is a standard for morality. And where is it found? In the scriptures. Where did this country get its morale from? The scriptures. Where does those Saudi Arabian places over there, those European places, where did they get their foundation for morality from? The scriptures. Whether they tried to make it more complex, whether they added or took away something, their foundation was in the word of the Most High, right? As far as marriage, there's question marks because matter, it can't produce you to say, it can't produce a thought to say, hey, I need a woman. You would, by naturalism, if you know how people say they were born homosexual, they would be homosexual. And where would the earth be if everybody born was homosexual? It would be dead. It wouldn't be no earth, right? When the scriptures give you an account of what marriage is and how it's to be operated, right? Euthanasia, which is pretty much being able to put somebody to sleep, right? Like, yeah, Dr. Kevorkian with the assisted suicide. You know what I'm saying? He was basically killing his patients off if they gave him the okay. Just a little insight on that. Whenever you allow these doctors or whatever to practice medicine on you, you're giving them the okay to kill you. Because their symbolism is to take. Meaning, any of these drugs could possibly kill you. They let you know the side effects, but you have to give the okay. That's even in their creed. They won't just kill you right off the bat. You have to give the okay. And even with it being to the point now, oh, I'm going to get a Tylenol. You're still giving them the okay to put that chemical in your system, whether it's going to kill you for the moment, whatever. We know that the Most High gave us those herbs, these fruits, all of these things to heal our bodies, and yet we still give them the okay to do certain things to us. You know what I'm saying? On the other side, you see sanctity of life. The Most High give you a blueprint when it comes to you being alive, what needs to happen before you die, all of these things. He gives you a blueprint for it. Abortion. There's no morality in matter creating idealism when it comes to abortion, because you can do it if you feel it's right. But according to the scriptures, it's not right. You see what I'm saying? So when we match up morality with these evolutionists, with natural selection, everything goes back to the scriptures, right? Let me show y'all one of the reasons why evolutionists, atheists, absolutely love Christians. Again, remember earlier, those Greeks, those Romans, they created what is known as atheism. They also created the religion of Christianity. But this has come from the Cleveland show. I had to record it on TV because they took it off of the internet. So watch what this says and watch how stupid they make the person who actually believes in the Most High. Watch how stupid they make him look because of Christianity.
Man, how can you not believe in God? Well, I started questioning things when Mom said Jesus forgave her after her affair with Mr. Quagmire. It just seemed too easy.
So, again, he said, I stopped believing when Mom said he just forgave me for, Mom said he just forgave her for committing adultery. That's too easy, right?
So, after a while, I decided to not take Johnny's advice, and I did stop believing.
So you're an atheist. An atheist? I can't even say the word.
Atheist. No, I'm not. Atheism is a religion too.
So they'll plainly come out and tell you that atheism is a religion in itself, right? But watch what follows.
Those people are the worst. You remember Brian Griffin back in Coho?
That dog.
Yeah. Remember what an insufferable D-bag he was about it?
Of course I do, son, but Christianity makes sense. A virgin had God's baby, who then grew up to be murdered by the Romans, so you and I could be forgiven for Eve eating that apple she got from the talking snake. 3 days later, Jesus rose from the dead to tell everyone he was coming back someday to fight the devil. Then he flew up to his mansion in heaven where he sits in judgment of the gays. How can you not believe that?
Just do.
But this is a Christian home.
So again, they make the believer look as if there's no proof for these things. Oh, well, I just believe that the woman with the snake and the this and the that on the show, it makes them look stupid. You get what I'm saying? And already when you watch this, if you unlearn, it makes you think like that's what I believe. You know what I'm saying? They subjecting you to certain things. Let's get 2 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 11. About to close out in a second, y'all.
2 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 11. Lest how Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices.
This is a device or a tool used to switch your mind about the Most High. And it's right on TV. The school system is a device used to change our kids' minds about the Most High. And they there every single day learning this stuff. So be mindful of what your kids learn and what you teach them on top of what they learning. Instill in your children that this Darwinism, that this evolution, that this, all of these things that they try to put into your child at a young age, that is wrong. If possible, we need to get to a place where there is no school for these kids. You know what I'm saying? We have to do this thing. We have to get to that point because they're not teaching them what they need to be taught. Hitler said, the worst thing you can do is allow your enemy to teach your child. This was Hitler. I think Aristotle also backed up what he said. He got it from one of them. But, brother, he read that, man. It's documented. The brother read, you know what I'm saying? But even with Malcolm X saying it still is a profound statement because our enemies are over the school system. And they're teaching our kids what they want them to know instead of what's true, in fact. So be mindful of that. Know that these are devices that Shaitan is using to consume the mind of your children, right? To consume your mind. Remember, for us to be able to, for the prophecy to come true in Deuteronomy 30, we have to come to the Most High and our children have to come. So we have to teach our children. If we don't teach our children the right things, we're prolonging it, right?
How can you not believe in God?
Let's get Hosea chapter 4 and verse 1. No, I actually just ran across it on the TV. I mean, they do be having some truth in them joints. That's a spinoff of the Family Guy, so they be throwing little things here and there. Here and there. Here and there. Like I just said, subliminal truth. You know. But yeah, the sad thing is a lot of our people. Now, if you kept on watching in the show, the mother came and said it. Well, I just believe in God because I'm a black woman that lived in the South. Honestly, it's a true statement, but she's basically alluding to the fact that she don't have no idea about what she believes in. You know what I'm saying? Which is, again, how they portray our people and how they portray the Most High in these shows is horrible, right? So let's read that. Yep.
The book of Hosea, chapter 4 and verse 1. Hear the word of Yahuwah, you children of Israel. For Yahuwah has a controversy with the inhabitants of the land.
He got a controversy with these people, right? That's not a good thing. Read.
Because there is no truth.
There is what?
No truth.
It can't be no truth here from what they're teaching because this is a worldwide view. Evolution is a worldwide view now. This is what people actually are being taught everywhere. When years ago, it was the opposite. Right? Go ahead.
Because there is no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of the Most High in the land. By swearing and lying and killing and stealing and committing adultery, they break out and blood touches blood.
So again, there's a reason why these people claim to be atheists, claim to be evolutionists. So we're going to get into that. Keep going.
Therefore shall the land mourn, and everyone that dwells therein shall languish.
Verse 4.
Verse 4. Yet let no man strive, nor reprove another. For your people are as they that strive with the priests. Therefore shall you fall in the day.
Verse 6.
Verse 6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge.
So before coming into this knowledge that we had today, how many of y'all understood the language of atheism, of evolution? No doubt. Now, going forward, how many of you will be able to combat against these evolutionists and atheists? That ain't enough.
Ask the question again. They kind of asleep.
Okay, I'm going to ask it one more time. My ox said ask it again. Going forward, knowing their language, how many of us will be able to combat these evolutionists / atheists on what they say? Raise them high. Okay, I see it. Okay. All right. Now, let's take a look at a remarkable video that it showed childbirth. Have y'all ever seen like those virtual things where they show childbirth and how it starts and all of that stuff? We're about to go into it, and I'm going to show you how it corresponds with the scriptures and how this ties right into our belief. Stay with me. Stay with me, y'all. Yeah, this is something the babies. I wouldn't. Dang, man.
Visa checkout is the easy way to pay online.
Just enter your password and check out.
But can Larry Fitzgerald check out?
Matter of fact, before we play this video, I'm gonna ask y'all a question. Let's get Matthew 18:3. Matthew 18:3. Real quick. We're gonna visit the scripture a couple times. Read that.
But YHWH chapter 18 and verse 3. And said, truly I say to you, except you be converted and become as little children, you shall not enter into the kingdom of Shamaim.
Give me a hand. Who knows what that's talking about? So somebody willing to answer?
I got you.
Anybody willing to give an answer? Remember, always be ready to give an answer. Then we go over that scripture.
Yeah.
I seen more hands raised.
Yeah.
You
answer that question.
For me?
Yeah.
Alex.
Okay, take a shot at it.
So, what it's saying that for us to come back to the Most High, we have to be humble and obey the laws, obey the commandments, and pretty much like you would tell your child to do something. We are children of the Most High, so there is no back talk. There is do what He says do or die. You know what I mean?
No doubt. No doubt. Another answer is you hit it, but not necessarily it.
To be teachable.
It's a little deeper than that. Go ahead, Elder.
Because child is receptive to what parents tell you. We have to become as children, become receptive to what the word has.
No doubt. Now we're gonna get into this video. You touched it, but not quite. You guys talking about?
You gotta relearn everything. Basically, go back as a child and relearn everything that you thought you knew is not what you know. So you
Touched it.
We gotta get baptized.
But not.
Born again.
We're about to get into the thing. Y'all getting too close. This is the process of semen getting to the egg. Now you see it's millions, even in some men it's billions of things of sperm that race to the egg, right? Now, do y'all see some of them getting stuck? Some of them stopping? You know what I'm saying? Some just staying where they at? Now, again, they're racing towards the egg, right? Let's get 1 Corinthians 9:24. This is going to show you on a broader scale. It's something simple, but through the process of birth, it just show you how much more deep these scriptures is and how much we need to appreciate them from even when we were a semen trying to get to the egg. We didn't have to be the one that made it.
Right.
A couple of your brothers and sisters is, and you know what I'm saying, they ain't here. A lot of them, millions of them. Right? You didn't have to be the one that broke through. Read that.
1 Corinthians chapter 9 and verse 24. Know you not that they which run in a race run all, but one receives the prize.
But who?
One receives the prize.
So what is the egg in this thing? The prize, right? And what does that egg represent? Mashiach, but the kingdom, right? Read.
So run that you may obtain.
So run that you may obtain. Again, this is going a little bit off of what the lesson is about, but it still ties into it. So I just want y'all to stay with me. Run that you may obtain. Some more. Can you read?
And every man that strives for the mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible.
So we doing this to obtain an incorruptible crown, right? But let's keep going on. This is just the beginning. This is them racing towards that prize, that egg, right? Look at how many it is. How many it started off to be, and now look when it broke through what looked like fire. How many are left still on the way, right? It's only a few that's left from millions, billions. It's only a few, right? That's another parable of the wheat and tares. I don't know if y'all can see if it looked like, you know, the wheat and tares, but let's get a scripture real quick. Let's get Matthew 22 and 14, because again, a lot of them didn't make it just past that point. A lot of them was stuck where they was at, right?
Matthew chapter 22 and verse 14. For many are called, but few are chosen.
Many are called. Many of them came out, but it's only a few that's chosen. It's only a few that's going to get to that prize, right? And fewer, even from that point. Get 1 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 1. Remember, this is a correlation of what's going on today. This is a correlation of our walk.
1 Timothy
4 and 1.
1 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 1. Now the Spirit speaks expressly that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils.
Now, I want y'all to think about this even from before this point. In the man's scrotum, it's almost like a whole world of semen, right? out of that world of semen, those millions and billions made it out. They were able to see, wait, I can get out, right? So that represents those people coming out of the world, so to speak, or coming out of the natural way of thinking in the world, right? But after you pass that first part, like, you know, what people knowing the government ain't right, these conspiracy theorists, all of these things, right? Now you get into the point where you're past that fire and you in the truth now, right? So then it got fewer. So now you're passing over this thing what looks like grass, right? The wheats that it looks like, right? Then as they racing towards the kingdom, it gets even fewer, because the scriptures say people is going to turn because of these doctrines of devils. Thessalonians tell you before the man of perdition is revealed, it must be a great falling away, right? Get Hebrews 6 and 4. Now, when you see those sperm start to fall off or get attached to where it was at and didn't move, do you think that it progressed? It started to progress again towards the egg, or did it just stay there?
No, it died.
It did what?
It died.
It died. It wasn't no more progression. They was already on their way and they got comfortable where they was at and they died. Right? Read.
Hebrews chapter 6 and verse 4. For it is impossible for those who were once enlightened and have tasted of the Shamma'im gift and were made partakers of the Kadesh Ruach and have tasted the good word of the Most High and the powers of the world to come, if they shall fall away, to renew them again unto repentance.
It's impossible for those sperm cells to rejuvenate themselves to keep running that race. They died off. So we have to remember that we got to continue to grow. We got to continue to seek that perfection. We got to continue to strive for that perfection. You know what I'm saying? We have to continue to grow. Do not be content where you are. If you feel content, it's something else in these scriptures that you can be doing to better yourself. Always. Go ahead.
If they shall fall away, to renew them again unto repentance.
So it's impossible, right? Go ahead.
Seeing they crucify to themselves the Son of the Most High afresh, and put him to an open shame.
Get Hebrews 3 and 12.
Hebrews 3 and verse 12. Take heed, brethren, lest there be any of you an evil heart of unbelief in departing from the living power.
Do not depart from the Most High. There is more than enough evidence to show that he is real. There is no evidence to show that he's not. If you watch that Bill Nye thing, he is an atheist. But at the end of the debate, he says, and I quote, there is no substantial evidence to disprove that there is a God. But I also don't believe that there is evidence enough to prove that he exists. So that's what you call agnostic now. So he done switched just from what the brother was dropping on him. You know what I'm saying? There is no evidence to prove that the Most High is not real, but there is countless numbers of evidence that he is real. You just have to be able to see it. Right? He won the race, right? Out of those millions and billions of specimens, he won the race, right? But again, you still seeing people surrounding this egg, right? You still see, get 2nd Ezra chapter 8 and verse 1. Because again, it started off with millions and billions of them, but it only ended up being one, or in this case, a few, right?
2nd Ezra chapter 8 and verse 1. And he answered me, saying, The Most High has made this world for many.
He made this world for many. Remember, it was a bunch of them together. He made this world for many, but what?
But the world to come.
But the world to come, that kingdom, read.
For few.
For few. This right here shows that out of all of those specimens that started out, only a few made it to the egg and only one made it to it. Right? Remember, in the scriptures in 2nd Ezra, it said that but one man could go at a time where this place was set. Right? Only one man at a time. But let's move on. Anybody got the answer to that Matthew 18 yet? 18:3?
About the little children.
You're talking about the Mashiach coming back to save us?
Exactly. Let's get into it. Matter of fact, get Revelations 22 and 14 out. Because did y'all see what just happened? After that, after it was open to the one, it just closed off. It turned dark. Nothing else was able to enter, right? Revelations 22 and 14. I said Matthew. You said Revelation.
Revelations chapter 22 and verse 14. Blessed are they that do his commandments.
Because you're going to make it to the kingdom. It's evident. He said it, right? Read.
That they may have right to the tree of life.
You're going to make it. Read.
And may enter in through the gates into the city.
So you're going to enter into that egg, right? Read.
For without are dogs.
But those that are on the outside are what?
Are dogs.
They ain't make it. Right? Read.
And sorcerers. And whoremongers. And murderers. And idolaters. And whosoever loves and makes a lie.
So what's going to happen to those sperm that didn't make it into the egg? They're going to die. Plain and simple. Make it to the kingdom. Be that same cell that you were before and make it to the kingdom. You had enough will to get here. Have that much more to get there. What does the Most High say? If you get there, what's going to happen? Matter of fact, if you keeping his commandments, what's going to happen? The Mashiach's going to be in you. You're going to be in him. We're all going to be one, right? That cell just conjoined with this force that was inside the egg. It's completely corresponding with the scriptures. You see it going back through those wheat looking things? Where is all the semen that was there?
It's gone.
It's gone. Want to add, this type of complexity cannot be created by something that did not intend for it to be like this. You know what I'm saying? Fast forward through here a little bit, but look at what we were. We once were this. This was us. This is the babies that's being created now. You know what I'm saying? We was that small. You know what I mean? And the Most High created us into what we are today. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's amazing to me. This is true evolution. It's observable. It's repeatable. And you can actually see the changes in you from when you were semen to now. It's a complete difference. Right? I remember my baby is this small. I just wanted to hear the heartbeat every day. Let's skip on a little bit. Now you see, this small specimen had to grow hands, feet, had to learn how to eat, had to learn how to like they say at the doctor's office, the baby get the hiccups in there. It's practicing certain things, moving around, kicking, moving its arms, right? This is remarkable. This is a beautiful, beautiful process, right? Nothing that evolution teaches can explain this. Nothing, absolutely nothing. No form of matter can create this. So that's a real alien. That's complex. That's nothing simple. That's a whole neighborhood right there. Right, that's what your baby look like in there. Again, this is the process. Discretion. All right. Movie time is over, y'all. Now, let's get back to Matthew chapter 18 and verse 3. And let's spin it all together. All right. Get Hebrews 2 and 7. Get 1 John 2 and 6. We just about to revisit this a little bit. We're going to come back to it. I just wanted to...
I mean, sure, there's a couple key words in that scripture. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely is.
Become.
Matthew 18 and verse 3. And said, truly I say to you, except you be converted and become as little children, you shall not enter into the kingdom of Shamaim.
So he said, unless you be converted into little children, you shall not see the kingdom, right? Yeah, get that Hebrews 2 and 7. Huh? Listen up, y'all. Write this down real quick, y'all.
Hebrews 2 and 7. Thou madest him a little lower than the Malachim. Thou crownedest him with esteem and honor, and didst set him over the works of your hands.
So he says that he was made lower than the Malachim, right? But remember, he created everything. He was made lower than the Malachim, right? Get what you got, Op.
1 John chapter 2 and verse 6.
Yep.
Verse 6. He that says he abides in him ought himself also so to walk, even as he walked.
So it says if you abide in the Mashiach, you're going to walk as he walked, right? Read.
Brethren, I write no new commandment unto you.
Okay, okay, that's it on there. Get what you got, Op.
Exodus chapter 23 and verse 20. Behold, I send a Malachim before you to keep you in the way and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him and obey his voice.
My bad. Start at verse 20.
Exodus 23 and verse 20. Behold, I send a Malachim before you.
He said, I send a Malachim before you, right? Read.
To keep you in the way and to bring you into the place which I have prepared.
Now, he says he sent this Malachim, we know it's the Mashiach, right? To put you into the place that he has prepared, right? Read.
Beware of him and obey his voice.
And obey his voice. Why? Read.
Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions.
For he will not pardon your transgressions. Now remember, in order for you to get into the kingdom, you have to become as a little child, right? Get what you got, Op.
John 3 and 3. Yahushua answered and said unto him, truly, truly, I say unto you, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of the Most High.
So he said, unless a man be born again, he can't see the kingdom of the Most High. Now the Mashiach said this, right? Now we just seen the whole birth thing, right? Read.
Nicodemus saith unto him, how can a man be born when he is old?
Oh, what you got? Read that. What you got, Op.
Matthew chapter 1 and verse 18. Now the birth of Yahushua HaMashiach was on this wise. When his mother Mary was espoused to Joseph, before they came together, she was found with child of the set-apart spirit.
So we know that Mary was a virgin. The Mashiach didn't go through that spermal thing, right? He wasn't a part of those semen. He was planted into Mary, right? It's about to come around. Read.
Verse 19. Then Joseph, her husband, being a just man and not willing to make her a public example, was minded to put her away privily. So
again, he thought that she done messed around with somebody else. Now she pregnant, but we know that's not the case. Read.
But while he thought on these things, behold, a Malachim of Yahuwah appeared unto him in a dream, saying.
So a Malachim came to him. Read.
Joseph, you son of David, fear not to take unto you Mary, your wife, for that which is conceived in her is of the set-apart spirit.
So the set-apart spirit, right, had her conceived, right? Stay with me, y'all. Go ahead.
She shall bring forth a son, and you shall call his name Yahushua, for he shall save his people from their sins.
He gonna save his people from their sins, right? Now, pick that John 3 and 3 up again.
How can a man be born when he is old? Can he enter the second time into his mother's womb?
So it said, can he enter the second time into his mother's womb? Did the Mashiach do that?
No.
No, he didn't enter a second time. This is his first time, right? Now remember, he created everything. And he humbled himself down enough to go through the same thing we went through inside the womb and out. Right? Go ahead.
And be born. Yahushua answered, truly, truly, I say unto you, except a man be born of water and of spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom of the Most High.
How was the Mashiach conceived?
Spirit.
Of spirit, right? When you get ready to have a baby, what happens? Your water breaks because the baby is inside of water. So he embodied what he said when he said you have to be born of water and of spirit in order to get into the kingdom, right? Because we know this is the baptism, right? Now let's go back to Matthew 18:3.
Matthew chapter 18 and verse 3. And said, truly I say to you, except you be converted and become as little children, you shall not enter into the kingdom of Shamayim.
Was he speaking literal? Yes. He literally was converted into a child. You have to follow his footsteps, right? But in order for you to become a little child, you have to do what with the man that you are now? It has to die, right? And that's symbolic of the baptism, right? Read.
Whosoever therefore shall humble himself as his little child, the same is greatest in the kingdom of Shamayim. And whoso shall receive one such little child in my name.
In whose name?
In my name.
Because he literally did it. Read.
Receives me. But whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and that he were drowned in the depth of the sea.
So again, if anybody haven't been baptized in here, you see the whole process of birth deals with our walk. If anybody hasn't been renewed with the spirit of their mind, you see that the process of birth embodies what we need to be doing as a people trying to get to the kingdom, right? But to go back on topic real quick, when you look at how complex these things are, like the birth and all of these things, right? And you look at the evolutionist theories, you see that when they can't explain these phenomena, they go back to morality. Oh, well, what type of God will have an earth where people just out here killing each other, babies dying? They always attack that portion because that's an answer that Christians aren't able to give, right? They always attack the Most High himself, right? They say, and I've heard this personally, why does all these things in the world happen? Why do people kill people? Why are babies aborted? Why is there war? And to me, just like they said, the faith is a cop-out. I believe that morality check is also a cop-out. Because you can't explain evolution and be correct about it, and it shows the religion that they uphold, now you have to attack morality. But we know it's easy to go through the scriptures to debunk that because the Most High give everybody choice, right? You have to love the Most High to keep his commandments. That's a fact, right? It's not about just making everybody a robot. That's not fun, right? It's about the people loving the Most High to keep his commandments, right? Let's get Proverbs 13 and 13. A lot of these people get themselves in blasphemous situations when they start to go against the word and the Most High.
Proverbs chapter 13 and verse 13. Whoso despises the word.
Whoso do what?
Despises the word.
So these people, these atheists, these evolutionists who despise the word, the Egyptologists, whoever, that despise the word of the Most High, read,
shall be destroyed.
Shall be destroyed. Just like those semen specimens that didn't make it to the egg. Read that one more time, Mark.
Whoso despises the word shall be destroyed. But he that fears the commandment shall be rewarded.
He that fears the commandment shall be rewarded with the kingdom. Right? Let's get Ecclesiastes 9 and 12. We're about to close out. One more scripture after this. Ecclesiastes 9 and 12. And this is, I think, an important scripture for those who are atheists, evolutionists, Egyptologists. You know what I'm saying? After seeing this evidence, and this is just not even scratching the surface. It's just hitting main points. It's time to make a change. And this is the reason why.
Ecclesiastes chapter 9 and verse 12. For man also knows not his time.
For man what?
Knows not his time.
You don't know when you're going to be up out of here. I done had a couple people that I grew up with, that I done been around, that died, killed within this last week. You know what I'm saying? And it hit hard. But it goes to show you that you don't know when your time is. Read that again from the top.
For man also knows not his time, as the fishes that are taken in an evil net, and as the birds that are caught in the snare.
So these fishes are caught in the net. The birds are caught with this evil snare. Do they know that they about to get caught up by this net? Do the birds know that they about to go into this snare? They don't know. They don't have any idea. It just happens. They live in life normal. But this stuff happens like that. And that's how life is. You never know when your last day is. Man knows not his time. Right? Can you read that?
So are the sons of men snared in an evil time, when it falls suddenly upon them.
It can fall suddenly upon them. You know what I'm saying? That's life. You know what I mean? So make sure you're ready. You know what I mean? To face the Most High in judgment. Make sure you know for a fact what's real and what's not. Do not go off of the assumption of evolution, because to that there is no end. Just like Ecclesiastes 12 and 12 to the, get that real quick out. There is no end to this evolution stuff. It's going to be compiled on top of each other all the days that it's even spoken about. Read.
Ecclesiastes 12 and verse 12. And further, by these, my son, be admonished, of making many books there is no end.
It's a whole bunch of evolutionist books out here. Ain't going to be no end to them as long as man exists on this earth. Read.
And much study is a weariness of the flesh.
It's a weariness of the flesh, but the Most High gave you a blueprint. He told you what to do. Read.
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter.
Hold that what you got. I'll get 1 Corinthians 1 and 20. He said, let us hear the conclusion of the matter, right? And after seeing what we've seen in these scriptures today, we know that even atheism, the religion, first and foremost, doesn't follow its own customs. And the scriptures easily debunk it, along with their own philosophy, math, and logic. Go ahead.
1 Corinthians 1 and 20. Where is the wise? Where is the scribe?
Where is the wise men? Where are the scribes? Where are the people that's writing these books? Where are these wise men that say, oh, I looked into the heavens and I saw the stars move and out? Where's these people at? Read.
Where is the disputer of this world? Hath not the Most High made the foolish the wisdom of this world?
The Most High made foolish the wisdom of this world. Whatever you need is right here in the book. Right here. History, relationships, war, everything that has been from the beginning of time until its end is right here in these scriptures. Let's finish out that Ecclesiastes.
For after that is the wisdom of the Most High. The world by wisdom knew not the Most High. It pleased the Most High by the foolishness of preaching to save them that believe.
So even with these people preaching what they preaching, you able to see the truth in the word of the Most High with the madness. And by us being able to go into different religions, different sects of people, we able to see, wait, this don't stand up to the scriptures. And that puts you forward in this truth. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, this is what we supposed to be doing. To the atheists, the evolutionists, the Egyptologists. At the end of the day, survival is based on this key thing. And that's this.
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear the Most High and keep His commandments, for this is the whole duty of man.
Plain and simple, self-explanatory. So, you know, that's pretty much it. Any questions, comments, concerns? Appreciate it. All praise to the Most High.
You worked that out for a minute.
Huh?
Worked on that for a minute.
Man, for a while, I was thinking it kind of bothered me. You know, my cousin who, you know what I'm saying, he had been hitting me before he had went off to the army. He was saying, what do a person like me that, you know what I'm saying, we see that I'm a Gentile or whatever. I was breaking it down. So he's like, where do I fit in?
So where he at now with it?
Here.
Script?
No. What I just spoke on. You know what I'm saying?
He still...
Yeah. Like before he went, this is what he was asking me. What do a person like me have to do to make it into the kingdom? You know what I'm saying? And I was letting him know, just keep the commandments, man. You good. Don't have to worry about none of that stuff. You know what I mean? Gentile, or if you are the children of Israel. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be a innumerable multitude up there. So, he rocked with it for a minute until he had to actually go into that realm over there, you know what I'm saying, into war, where he had to murder people. You know what I'm saying? Who knows whether it was from adults down to children. You know what I'm saying? And that type of thing strikes your morality. And in order for you not to feel guilty about going to the lake of fire for doing these things, you have to make it to where the Most High doesn't exist. You have to convince yourself. So it's not just one time that he said the atheist stuff. He reposts the stuff, talk to me about it over and over, and because he has to keep continuing to convince himself that this is real.
But you know, low key though, that's what I be telling people I kick it with on script. Like, low key, when you break the commandments, you're really an atheist. Because when you in Christianity and somebody and you hit somebody with the hit a Christian with the truth or something, for those who don't like, you got some that you hit and they say, well, I see what you're saying, I'm about to look into it, and they actually look into it and they come into the truth. But then you got those that'll say, well, shoot, I could do this and that because this say this or this say that. Or you got some that when you hit them with the script, they be like, well, I feel what you're saying, but at the same time, though, what's wrong with what I'm doing?
Right.
And it's like, I started thinking about it one day, like, to be honest with you, you really an atheist if you think like that.
And that's the thing.
Because you think that's okay just because it looked harmless. That's all it is, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, they pose the questions, can atheists be good people? Can they not do this and that? Technically, but not according to the Most High. Because he gave you a set of instructions to follow. If your mom say don't cross the street and you go over there to get a popsicle, you went to get a popsicle, well, what do that got to do with her telling you not to cross the street?
All right.
You know what I'm saying? And they try to put them things together. Oh, well, I don't murder nobody. Why are you even saying you don't murder anybody?
Where that
you got that from the Bible. Why are you even comparing yourself to that? Because this is where it come from. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of these people, they have to trick themselves into believing that there isn't a power in order for them to feel comfortable with themselves.
Right. And even if they do believe it's a power, just because a multitude of people saying that it's okay and it looks harmless, they believe, you know, that it is. And then when you come to them and show them evidence and proof, and once they see the proof, like you said, the morality and the spirit, then you like, okay, that's true. But why do it seem like it's not wrong still? Right. You know what I'm saying? It's what's not that's what's putting them back to where they was once at. You know what I'm saying? And being with cuz being over there in the war now, that you know, being with people that don't believe, you know, you'll believe something like that when somebody telling you every day that, you know, this ain't real, that ain't real, whatever. You'll start to believe that with no understanding.
I want to read this to y'all, and again, like with the atheists, they love Christians because Christians cut off one half of the book. So when you say you believe in something, but then you don't believe in the beginning of it, you already lose the argument. Oh, but what about eating pork? What about that? What about you doing? You know what I'm saying? Oh, well, that's the old. You know what I'm saying? And they be like, oh, well, see, you don't really believe. And they love that. They feed off of that. And that's where they catch people in these corners. So I always tell these people, like, why do you go to the people that you know are unlearned? You know you're going to win that fight. You know what I'm saying? Don't be a 20-year-old fighting a 4-year-old. You know that you're going to win that battle. They will not come against people who actually have knowledge. You know what I'm saying? I want to read this for y'all from out of this. All right. This is from the book. It's from the Protocols of Zion. And this is dealing with the atheism, right? It says, for them, let that play the principal part which have persuaded them to accept as the dictates of science theory. It is with this object in view that we are constantly, by means of our press, arousing a blind confidence in these theories. So they arise in a blind confidence, meaning even though this stuff is not true, they make you believe that it's true by their certain machinery. This is carbon dating, by the stuff they put in the media. Oh, look, we found a fossil that was 60 million years old. They constantly put this stuff out to you to make you believe it, like, whoa, they really found a fossil that was 60 million years old. Right? It says, the intellectuals of Goyim will puff themselves up with their knowledge, and without any logical verification of it, will put it into effect. All the information available from science. So they're going to use the regular principles of science and add this stuff with it to make it seem like it's one, when they're two totally different entities. Right? Just like how people make the word Christian synonymous with the scriptures, when that's two totally different things completely. How they make the Jews synonymous with the people of the book. Completely different people, right? They just mingled it in because they make it fit in your naked eye, right? It says, which our specialists have cunningly pieced together for the purpose of educating their minds in the direction that we want. Same thing that they do in our kids. They're educating these kids in the direction that they want them to go, right? Do not suppose for a moment that these statements are empty words. Think carefully of the successes we arranged for Darwinism. This Darwinism stuff was relatively new. They had to compile this stuff together to say we're going to break this out. It says Marxism. How you say that out? It's another word. Nietzscheism. I don't know what that is. It said to us Jews, again, something that they put in there, right? At any rate, it should be plain to see what is disintegrating importance these directives have had upon the minds of the Goyim. It is indispensable for us to take an account of thought, characters, tendencies of the nations in order to avoid making slips in the political and in the direction of the administrative affairs. So they gotta make this thing worldwide. They can't have no slip-ups, because as soon as they slip up, you're gonna have people like us that come in and say, hey, this ain't what it is, right? It says the triumph of our system, of which the component parts of the machinery may be variously disposed according to the temperament of the peoples met on our way, will fail of success, and the practical application of it be not based upon a summing up of the lessons of the past in the light of the present. Just like those carbon dating methods. They always got another one because the one in the past failed. But our people don't have the sense to see this, so they say, oh wait, that's the new thing. That's the way it's supposed to be now. The old one didn't work, but this one works. You know what I'm saying? But this basically is going into how they basically warped what we know now as evolution. They warped the idea of natural selection. They warped all of these things and put them and made them present in our minds. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't something that was original. This is something that's relatively new. You know what I mean? So, like I said, when y'all get a chance, check out all of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? The atheism, everything, so you're able to debunk it. You know what I mean?
You definitely gave me some ammunition.
We're not supposed to go to, I mean, people shouldn't go to the army.
Absolutely
No.
not.
not.
Because they're killing.
You're breaking the commandment. First and
Thou shalt
foremost.
not kill.
Murder. These people is going over there murdering people.
And then you getting into, I mean, honestly, we Israel. You getting into the enemy's army. You gonna go fight for these people?
Making a covenant.
I mean, really, you really getting into their army for what? You gonna go fight their wars, and they at war with you every day. Absolutely not.
And they taking
Fighting
the
for
oath.
Satan himself.
Exactly. You
And
got to
they
take
taking
an
that
oath. It's not good to be a police officer. None of that matters.
Working for their system.
Anything,
Exactly.
especially anything taking the oath.
Exactly.
Because they pledging allegiance to other gods.
It might be
It
certain
depends.
government jobs you
Yeah.
can do, but when you get to talking about the armed forces and things of that nature, absolutely not. These forces are going to be used to try to fight the Mashiach when he comes. And again, they actually propagating the system of Satan in the earth. That's who they fight for. They're not fighting for nothing righteous. So a lot of our people, we think, well, I can get an education, I can get, you know what I'm saying, I can get on a career path and be all I can be, all that madness. That's what they tell you. But you're going to do what they tell you, which is carry out the plans of Satan, pretty much.
And when you get out of the army, they leave you with nothing.
No, get a watch or something. Thanks for killing all the kids or something. Take this watch and be happy with it.
You got your limbs blue, here's a purple heart.
Exactly. We have some fundraisers for you. You know, you're in a wheelchair with both your arms blown off. So, thanks for your help. You know what I'm saying?
And after that, you don't hear from them no more.
You gonna have to do something.
You gotta re-enlist.
Against the Most High. It's a must.
Yeah, true story.
I was always told, go to the army. If you don't want to go to college,
go to
the army. You can get an education. You can do whatever you want to do. And now I'm hearing that's against the Most High to even go there.
I mean, you got to think about it. If our nation was established now, right? We'd be in Israel, right? That means we're going to have our own standing army, right? So guess who we're going to be facing? Them. You're going to be fighting against them. You see what I'm saying? So why now in captivity would you turn around and enlist in their army? Especially when you know who you are. Now, I can see our people that don't know, but for us that know, absolutely not.
That's why it says, and there you shall be sold into your enemies. So these people are our enemies, so therefore there's no reason that we should be in their armies. Because they're our enemies. You know what I'm saying?
It ain't so devilish. They know who you are. They know you're going to go fight a good fight. You know what I'm saying?
Put you on the front line.
I mean, honestly. They know when it was time to capture them Indians, right? What they do? Come on, you brothers, get in here. Buffalo soldiers, come on through. You know? They know you won't be good at it, but at the end of the day, you fighting for your enemy. Like, that don't even make sense.
I didn't know none of this, but I always told my boys, you're not going to army.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want them to die.
Right. This is a good chance they're going to do anyway, you know?
But I didn't know nothing.
What was you about to say,
I was gonna say I got some friends that fought like in Vietnam. And that's how old I am.
40 years ago.
I know some people. I know some old school cats.
friends,
Yeah, they fought in Vietnam.
Word?
And the Vietnamese people would ask, like, "What y'all doing up here fighting this so-called white man's war?" So they knew that we ain't supposed to be over there.
Yeah.
They probably asking that now.
Right.
Matter of fact, Yeshai, what you say when you was over there in the Middle East? What they was telling you?
Right.
One of the guys who jumped in the cab was like, cab driver was like, put his arm out like, look, we the same color. He's like, why you over here, you know, if y'all was where y'all supposed to be at, and we would be going to the wars that we go to. Like you said, y'all left out black and came back white.
Yeah, Gamal Nasser. He told them that at first he was the Egyptian president, right? He said, look, man, y'all left out, he told them impossible, y'all left out black and then you come back white. You'll never have peace. We don't know who you're impossible. You know what I'm saying? But they basically told the brother, look here, if you was where y'all supposed to be at, we wouldn't. Why? Because Israel will be in power, ruling righteously.
They used to shake their head at us and all the black people like, I don't know nothing.
Yeah.
Basically, like, you shaking our head.
Right. That brother, he was in the military. You know, the Most High brought him through.
You actually become back to a physical slave. They make you do, they control everything you do. You have no control at all. There's nothing.
Right.
Get up, boy. Get out and give me 50. Right now, you walk past me and $50 me.
They use that boy word all day.
Clean my boots, boy.